Hello viewers, Super GT here. So this is the very beginning of this year's Nations Cup. So the FIA series are back for real. This is a proper counting series and it all contributes towards trying to get towards one of the World Tour events. And this is the first round, Catalonia Group 2. So Nations Cup, manufacturers hasn't started just yet. So the current manufacturer series is just an exhibition series. And the Nations Cup, this is the real thing now. So things are going to get serious as this guy does a quick disappearing act. That was my first qualifying lap, putting it into 6th at the time that I crossed the line. And we come in with 2 minutes to spare to go on to fresh rubber to then go and do our final flying lap. So qualifying, of course, really important, and it's something I need to work on actually, I think. So we're going to have a look at a flying lap here of Catalonia in the Group 2 car. So I'm driving the Nissan Motul Ortec GTR. There's actually a fair split here between this car and the Honda, which you can see on the right hand side there, just slowing down, which tends to be a quicker car for one lap pace, but perhaps might not be better on tyres during the race itself. So through turn 2, a bit of a twitch as we go into turn 3, very long right hand to this, and I'm on the throttle a little bit later than I probably could have been. Coming towards turn 4, looking for the shadow, braking just before it, hooking up with an early apex here, and it's really about just getting on that power as early as you possibly can, as early as you dare, with keeping the car's back end in check, of course. So I think short shifting is a solid technique that most of the top guys are using, just to keep the car under control coming out of the turns. This car's got so much power, of course, really quick, pretty much the quickest tin top race cars on the planet alongside the DTM cars. So they have so much power, you really do have to keep that under control, but use the most of it, as much of it as you possibly can. Into the hairpin then. So we are 3.5 temps up on our previous best, which is only 15th at the moment, putting us 15th, so we do need to improve, because 15th would not be a good place to start this race. Coming into the final sector, using plenty of excess tarmac and AstroTurf. Into the chicane then, really difficult to get right. I wasn't brave enough to muller that first curve. People really mullering that first curve. You can do it, but it definitely unsettles your car if you don't catch it quite at the right angle. Around the final turn, across the line, 136.9 is only good enough for 11th, a second off the pace of the pole sitter, who did a 35.7, actually improved there. So staying 11th, no one else luckily improved. There's only 6 thousandths ahead of 13th, and 2,500 points on offer here. So I've got my driver rating up to over 60,000 now, so a little bit better than before. But it's been a long while. We finally bring back the FIA intro. Here we go.
Last night, so the piano's out of tune, so it sounds pretty bad, and I'm not very good at it, but I'm learning. It's one of my favourite songs.
This is a medical disorder.
Okay, enough Lewis Hamilton. Let's get back to the race. So starting in 11th, rolling start. Now the thing about the rolling start, I think I said this in my video regarding what's wrong with Gran Turismo. I mean, I don't mind a rolling start, it's just the grid is how it is. And it's just how it is, that the grid is really split. So qualifying is so important, because already, if you're not near the front, you've lost so much time. I'm already 7 seconds behind the leader, so it really is crucial to get qualifying dead right, which I didn't, so it's my fault. So this guy made a mistake coming through that final turn, and that's maybe one of the other things I said, the fact that sometimes if you're starting on a corner it's harder to accelerate, and he was actually starting on the corner, I was starting on a straight, so it was a bit easier for me to accelerate as the race started. But yeah, up to 10th at the beginning of the race, so actually 5 seconds behind the leader already. So it just shows you the difference. With the rolling starts, you really do need to be qualifying highly, and that is something that I need to work on, because the qualifying performance isn't quite there. Just extracting everything in one lap it is quite a difficult art to really perfect. And I did practice. I practiced the race. I practiced doing this race 11 laps, seeing how quickly I could do it, which tyres to use. But what I didn't really practice was just coming out of the pit lane on the softest tyres that you can use, which is medium in this case, and that Spaniard wants to just smash into the wall on his home race. Yeah, coming out of the pit lane on the freshest tyres, softest tyres, and just setting one quick lap, seeing if you can do a really quick lap. And yeah, that's something that will need to be worked upon for the next races. So up into 9th, so only really as a result of mistakes from other drivers, but you know, sometimes that's all it needs to be. Sometimes in a lot of races, and there's another mistake. Oh my god! And we can just say RIP in peace to this guy, another victim of the Catalunya chicane. Unlucky, mate. As we progress around the final turn. So 3 positions then. 3 positions on lap 1, just as a result of mistakes from other people, and sometimes that's all it needs to be. Just keep your race clean, keep it nice and tidy, and hopefully the other people will make the mistakes. In this case, that has happened. 3 mistakes, and I've taken 3 positions for free. It doesn't really get any easier than that. And the thing you don't want to be doing is fighting for so many laps that you're just wearing out your tyres, sitting in the slipstream, making it hard for yourself, not fuel saving properly. So the fuel saving is going to be something that is very important in this race. You can see I've only got 8 laps of fuel remaining at this point. When there's 11 laps in the race, I've still got 10 laps left to go. So there's going to have to be a lot of fuel saving, because when I was practicing, the 0 stop strategy is the quicker strategy. The pit lane here is very long. You lose a lot of time in the pit lane, so it does make sense to fuel save and try to avoid that pit stop. The main trouble, of course, the fuel and the tyres. So the tyres are going to be really difficult to manage at the end of the race, but just trying to manage everything you've got, just trying to keep it really smooth, and hopefully by the end my tyres won't be too bad. Some people are going for the harder tyre, so you can of course split your tyres, so you can go hard at the front, medium at the rear, or the other way around, or of course just go for hard tyres. So many people will be doing that. I'm not sure who is, you can't really tell until they go into the pit lane, but this guy ahead, I caught up with him quite quickly. He might be on the hard tyre. It's really hard to tell. That's the thing, I don't know. Let's come around the final turn. End of lap number 2. No such positional gains this time around. People not spinning off the circuit. People have settled into the race this time on this lap. So lap 3, sitting 6 seconds off the lead. You see the battle just up ahead. A couple of people fighting for around 4th and 5th position. So I think the thing here really is you can really try to attack and push and try to get onto terms with these guys ahead, or play the long game and just hope that my fuel saving, tyre saving is better than the people ahead. And we never know, they might still go into the pit lane. They might, because I'm planning not to. We don't know what the other people are going to do. So at this point I'm going to presume that they're not, because I would have just assumed that if they're quicker than me in the qualifying, they probably know what the best strategy is. But we'll see if that is the case. So this is the Nations Cup then. The Nations Cup, one half, if you like, of the Gran Turismo esports series. So just trying to qualify for one of the World Tour events, and I think the European one is in Nürburgring, at the Nürburgring in June. So that's where I'm technically trying to qualify. The thing is, it's going to be really difficult. You have to qualify. You have to be top 2 in your own. Yeah, so only 2 people from each country can go. So if you're the 3rd best in your country, then tough luck. You may well have done very well, but you need to be top 2. So it's going to be really difficult. I mean, it's borderline impossible because there's a lot of very good talent in the UK. I mean, there's lots of talent in every country, to be honest. Well, most of them anyway. You can probably name a load that there aren't so many good players, but in EMEA, of course, there's a really big region, really big region. So there's plenty of countries where maybe it could be a lot easier to get through. But in the UK, there's lots of really good players. So for me to get into the top 2 is going to be really hard. I mean, just to get into the top 10 is going to be really hard. But we'll just do the best we can, see what we can get. And I think if I can get into the top 10, I'll be really pleased with that, because this is my first sort of proper crack at the Gran Turismo esports series. I did it vaguely last year, That was on control, and it wasn't completely serious. It was more just for the videos. So this time around, really trying to take it a bit more seriously and get the videos out as well, of course, but really just trying to do the best we possibly can do. It'd be good just to see the improvement over last year. I think I'm already seeing the improvement. So currently, as I briefly mentioned at the start of the video, the driver rating currently at over 60,000. Going into this race, it was 60,800. So that's the highest I've ever had it. The highest I've ever had it really before was 57, but only very briefly. So I finally managed to get over 60. The maximum, of course, being 75. So just trying to get that up even more. Maybe, possibly getting up to 75,000, the maximum, if I can. Coming into this chicane then, behind EvoList, we've been behind him for a couple of laps, and it kind of highlights how hard it is to overtake in these cars, as he gets a penalty there. I wasn't quick enough off that chicane, I wasn't brave enough through the chicane, I really just had to attack it a little bit more to get within the slipstream range. As you can see now, tucked right in, so firmly within the slipstream range, going to pull out to the right hand side, into turn 1, on the brakes, on the 100 board, up the inside we go. That is as textbook a move you're ever going to see. As we go up into 7th, perhaps took me 2 laps too long. I think this guy is on the hard tyre. As we come through the long sweeping turn of turn 3, already putting almost half a second on the Russian who have just passed, getting actually a purple sector there. Through the first sector, would have been slipstream assisted down that main straight there, of course. So up into 7th place, still a long way in this race to go. As we come through turn 5, going down the hill then towards this very difficult sweeping left-hander. And the one thing I've realised is that in most cases, in a lot of races, I was turning in too late, trying to be too clever with a late apex. But I think a lot of the time you just really got to hook up the car nice and early, get into that turn, and that will really help you out. So I think it's just a constant battle against yourself in this game, or in any game, in any racing game, and I suppose in any game at all, any sport. You have to realise what you're doing wrong and just kind of be honest with yourself. Look, yeah, I'm turning in too late, I need to stop doing that, it's a bad habit. And there's these things I keep doing, like over-revving the car, there's lots of little habits that I think every driver has that you need to kind of stamp out if you really want to become one of the best. You need to just kind of be honest with yourself and just, yeah, I'm being silly by doing this, I need to stop it. So crossing the line, that was the end of lap number 5. So a safe lap, getting away from the Russian. Now this is the end of lap number 6 now. Slowly catching up with the Italian ahead, and we've got 2 people going to the pit lane. So we're going to go past Max Bailey and ETI Karting. And it looks like they weren't really fuel saving too much. Well, I was fuel saving a tiny bit better. But they're going to go onto the different tyres. You can see there the gaps opening up at this point of the race, halfway into the race now. And it's actually looking kind of okay. It's going to get more difficult as the race goes on, of course, because I think the fuel saving hasn't been great. We've still got more than 4.5 laps. At this point here, just over 4.5 laps. Oh, sorry, just over 4 laps. And I've only got 3.6 laps of fuel remaining. So there is going to have to be a lot of fuel saving. So I was kind of catching up with the guy in 3rd as R-Dog now goes into the pit lane. So I'm up into 4th. I started 11th, up into 4th. 9 seconds away from the leader, which isn't too bad. I started the race 5 seconds away from the leader. So I've only lost 4 seconds over the course of this first sort of 2/3 of the race, which isn't too bad of a performance, I think. And no glaring errors at this point. And I think that's the main thing with this race, especially when there's split strategy and you're trying to just perfect your own strategy. It's a way of thinking about a race which I don't think too many people think about it, and it's something I've noticed a lot from like Key 25 as well. The thing you've got to kind of work towards is a fast race time. I'm trying to do the race as quickly as possible. Whoever does the race the quickest obviously wins. So you're trying to get your whole race time down, which doesn't mean just doing absolutely fast laps every lap, because that will mean that you kill your tyres, you kill your fuel, and then you won't be able to, you probably have to come to the pit lane, which will kill your race time. So it really is important to get that overall race time down. As we come around the final sector now, this is the final lap. I mean, I skipped forward because the last couple of laps here were kind of boring, because I was in my own little world here in 4th place, 5 seconds ahead, 5 seconds behind So I just fuel saved to the end just to make sure I got through. No mistakes, don't want to spin it, don't want to get a penalty, don't do anything silly. And just bring the car home, which we do here, crossing the line in 4th place, which I'm really happy about, to be honest. I think that was a really good result. Solid strategy, got the strategy right, and then kind of just executed that race with minimal mistakes. And I don't think, I mean, the only thing I could have done better is qualifying. I might have been able to get on the podium, but other than that, I think 4th place was about as good as we can get. With 2,100 points, which is the most I've ever got from an FIA race, which is a promising sign. And there are the final results. So the fastest lap, not really up there at all, but it was all more about consistency, this one. That puts me 44th in Europe, or EMEA, hashtag blessed, and 5th in the UK, which I'll do very well to keep. I'll do very, very well to keep 5th. If I can finish top 10 and top 50 in EMEA, I'll be very, very pleased. But that is all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how your first round went and maybe what your ambitions are for the season. And that's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.